I was working on a video doing quite a bit of aluminum welding, showing where you might use a low AC frequency, like as low as 40 hertz, and then mid-range frequencies up around 120 hertz, which is a good all-around setting, and then all the way to 200 hertz. So while I was doing that video, I thought it'd be a good time to go ahead and hook up a water-cooled TIG torch and a water cooler onto this PrimeWeld machine. So that's what we're going to do right now. A few tips on hooking one up. The main tip is not to use regular tap water. This is a coolant made by Miller, specifically designed for this. I've heard about a lot of people using RV antifreeze, and I've used it too. The best thing about the RV antifreeze is it's available at pretty much any auto parts store. You need to read the manual on whatever cooler you're hooking up. Some of them actually will void the warranty if you don't use what they specify. And it's probably best to use the recommended coolant for a TIG cooler. I just happen to have a gallon of this stuff made by Miller laying around, so I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to dilute it with regular distilled water. This is going to be the typical configuration for newer welders, newer inverter welders. You're going to have a DINS connector or adapter, and you're going to have a water in and out and an argon line. Now typically the water lines will have left-handed threads, so that eliminates a little bit of confusion. Now you may not have the wrenchless adapter deals that I'm looking at here, those black knobs, but I had a couple extras laying around and I decided to use them. They're kind of handy. They seal with O-rings and you don't have to have a wrench. One thing you want to make absolutely sure to do is make sure the output, the cold water coming from the cooler, goes directly to the torch head. Just trace down the line that goes directly to the torch head from the cooler flowing through the torch. The other line is the return line, so it's going to flow from the DINS adapter, typically, back through the water cooler. After all the connections are tight on the water cooler, let's look at plugging it into the machine. First, the argon. Again, I got that wrenchless adapter. And that little pigtail coming off the top of the DINS adapter goes back into the cooler. That's the water return. Now it's time to plug this thing up. Now on this PrimeWeld, it's got a little auxiliary plug here on the back of the machine. That's a huge benefit. I've had welders with these and I've had them without. I definitely prefer with, because once you plug it in, all you need to do is leave the cooler on, and when you turn the machine on, the cooler comes on, and you don't have to remember to turn the cooler on. If you don't have a PrimeWeld machine, it comes with this adapter, and you can just plug into the wall. All that's left to do now is plug in the foot control and then the ground clamp, and we're pretty much ready to weld. I've been getting quite a few questions about this TIG welder as well as the TIG cooler, and one of the questions is, how loud is the cooler? Because some of them I have used in the past have been quite loud, and this one's not. I've used several different brands, and so I can speak to what's loud and what's not. This one's one of the quieter ones, and it also has a cool little feature, and it's got an alarm for a low coolant level. And sure enough, I was just a little bit low, the fill line. And so all I'm going to do is just add the rest of that gallon of distilled water and get it up a little bit over that minimum fill line, and then we should be okay. So keep an eye out for the video on AC frequency settings. We're going to explore some applications for using really low AC frequency as well as high AC frequency settings. I'll add a link that'll take you right to the page where I've got the PrimeWeld welder, the cooler, as well as several CK water-cooled torches and DINS adapters that work with this machine. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for those AC frequency and AC balance videos.